Live. Hi, everyone. I'm just now noticing my kid's little truck there is going to be cemented in this forever, too. That's cool. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Very excited for another edition of Syelo Tank. Today, we have Kula. I've known Achu now for a while. When Achu was like deep in development with Kula, we have first connected, and since then he's fully launched his product, and he's been out there in the ecosphere, getting it into the hands of as many people as possible. And the one thing I told Achu was, hey, when you're ready, let us know, because we definitely want to have Kula and Syelo Tank so that the ecosystem and community can take a look. And yeah, Kula is a very unique and very special product. I'm excited to see what y'all think. Achu here is the founder and CEO, and I think my favorite thing about Achu is that he's a recruiter. So Achu built this from his own experience recruiting. He's gone on to actually raise a pretty significant, I believe, seed round of funding. So he not only is a recruiter, but he's also someone that can get investors really hyped up on a big vision. But without further ado, Achu, it's your show. Excited. Welcome to Syelo Tank. We're looking forward to learning more.
Awesome. I really appreciate the introduction, Amir. Good to meet you all. Very excited to show you what we have built at Kula and sort of hear your thoughts. I would like to keep this conversational, so if you have any questions, feel free to stop me then and there, so it's easy for me to dive in. So I just put together a quick slide so that it's always easy to go through via that. So let me just quickly share my screen, and then we can pick it up from there. Can you all see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Cool. Just a quick introduction. I'm Achu, born and raised in southern part of India, a place called as Chennai. And then spent more than a decade in recruiting. Most recently, I was with Stripe, leading their leadership recruiting efforts. Primarily helped scale their CXO hires and board members globally. Prior to that, was fortunate enough to be the recruiting lead at Uber, pretty much one of the early recruiters in EMEA, APAC markets, as well as in North America, helped scale them globally. Prior to that, helped scale multiple unicorn companies, notably Freshworks and Practo. So been a recruiter throughout my life. Very excited about solving problems for recruiting, and more so in people tech. So that's pretty much what led me to build Kula. Kula means community in Sanskrit. So who we are an all-in-one applicant tracking system. We'll go a little bit more deeper in terms of what does all-in-one mean, because that's like a loosely thrown out word today. Happy to double click a little bit more on that in the following slides. So just a quick background about ourselves. We started in late 2021, and we've been pretty fortunate to have tier one investors backing us, notably General Catalyst, Sequoia, Square Peg, and Together. We raised so far around 15 million in seed, currently roughly around 30 to 32 employees in full time. And it's been 7 months since we launched the product. We spent the last 2.5 to 3 years making the product so good that we just don't deploy with an MVP when we go to the full blown out product, because our vision is a lot more bigger and grander, right? So we launched that 7 months ago. Today, we are trailing across 75 plus customers. As you can see here, we acquire customers across different cohorts, right from like sub 100 member team to 1,000 plus teams as well. Where what we are currently doing is we are kind of experimenting a little bit more on where the product is sticking really well, where people are seeing more value, and so on and so forth, right? We are able to successfully, move our existing customers from a bunch of other ATSs. So that will probably give you a picture about the product parity which we have in play, because I believe we have very little time. I won't be able to go through all the key capabilities of the product. So just want to paint a picture in terms of legacy products like Lever, Greenhouse, customers move from there. So it sort of means that the product parity is at most to what you would already see in a very well matured ATSs, right? So that's a quick overview in terms of who we are. The biggest problem which we want to address is, as my time as a recruiter, I've used multiple systems. The biggest challenge was we ended up investing a lot of tools, a lot of dollars on an ATS, which is just a mere system of record. To make that system of record, we end up investing on a bunch of other point solutions, right? First and foremost, we all got hit by consolidation game in 2023, 2024. But also the bigger problem is driving and asking budgets for these are very, very hard for recruiting organizations, right? So to make your existing ATS work, you end up stitching at least 4 to 5 point solutions to really derive value and drive efficiency within the organization. First part is the, getting the buy-in part. The second part is also mostly around, it's not collaborative, data doesn't really flow well. Context switching, as we all know, it's very expensive for recruiters, and it's resulting to a pretty, immense amount of productivity impact. And what I have noticed personally is driving adoption on all these products is very, very hard, right? So you have certain pockets of folks who are using it, not using it, just like a painful thing to do in terms of driving adoption and realize value. So that's pretty much what we found that as a problem. Our goal is to build a true operating system for recruiting teams, so they can just use one single tool to manage their entire recruiting workflow rather than stitching multiple tools, right? So quick introduction in terms of how we are doing that. As you can see here, we have replaced all of these point solutions into one. These are very well-known point solutions in the market who has good depth in their capabilities for that specific, problem which they solve for. Our goal is to have the depth and breadth within the same product, right? So that's pretty much why we invested a lot of time in R&D to make sure that we have one real, true, all-in-one platform to augment your workflows. The second biggest differentiator for us is we were born in the era of AI, right? So we are in late 2021. We start to see AI coming in the early 2022 itself, and we start to build the entire product around the AI native narrative. Where when I show you the product, AI is not an afterthought for us, or it is not a bolt-on service on top of Kula. We built and trained our own LLMs for specific recruiting use cases, right? Which we will cover in the demo as we go by. So the product is completely native AI across different funnels, top of the funnel to mid funnel to bottom of the funnel. You can see how Kula has leveraged and how our recruiting teams can leverage AI across this funnel. The third and the most important piece is, this is purely built by recruiters. I have used multiple, tools in the past. Those are great products, but the workflows are not very well built for recruiter use cases, right? We operate in a very different way. We understand those use cases in different way, which may not be, something which someone who has not been a practitioner would be able to dive deep in, right? So that's a biggest advantage we have. We collaborated with, as Amir mentioned, we've been having conversations with a lot of, recruiting leaders to make this product really seamless and as effective as possible. The second, the most important thing here is, as a byproduct of this, we want this tool to be, centered for different personas. We have built experiences not just for recruiters. We have built experiences for hiring managers, interviewers, candidates, and so on and so forth, who's completely evolved in the recruiting process, so that we can increase the adoption and the NPS of an ATS today, right? So that's the parallel. Net goal is we want to make the overall hiring journey not just a recruiter's job, but how do we make it more like a team sport, right? And that's pretty much the overall philosophy on how we have developed and designed the product in a way. Few areas where I'm going to demonstrate today. I'm not going to go into the foundational areas of job creation and a bunch of other things, where I believe what would be a good use of our time today would be just stressing a little bit more areas where we have really deployed AI and where we can augment workflows. So across the funnel, as you see, there's a lot of manual drudgery work which we end up doing as a recruiting organization, right from top of the funnel and reviewing candidates, spending more time and culling through those inbound candidates, outbounding automations to passive candidates, scheduling workflows in mid funnel, and chasing interviews to submit scorecard, quality of scorecard and a bunch of other things. And similarly in the bottom funnel, mostly from a reporting standpoint, right? So we have deployed all of these offerings. So we'll go through all of these offerings one by one and sort of demonstrate the value creation there. So before I demo the product, any quick questions for me on this? Happy to take a pause and pick up any questions you may have for me on this so far.
I guess one question I had, you were talking a bit about the integrations. Do you still offer integrations with HRIS systems like Workday or things like that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, great question, James. Of course, yeah, we currently support more than 60 plus HRIS vendors. So out of the box, we support Workday, Breezy, Jazz, Replying of the world, Gusto of the world. So across cohorts of range of customers, we support different HRISs. It's all one click. We also offer other integrations in terms of things which we don't do, right? Like background verification, BGV vendors, integration with DocuSign and a bunch of other workflows covering the plateau. We do support those integrations in play.
Awesome, thank you.
Another most important thing is the first thing which we built is mostly from a data migration standpoint. We seamlessly move data from an existing ATS to Kula. It's like moving from your old iPhone to your new iPhone. So it's super easy. It's also self-serve. You can actually see how the data is moving from your existing ATS to Kula. Anyway. Awesome. Any other further questions before I dive deep on the product? All right. I get excited when I'm demoing the product. If I'm going fast, feel free to stop me. I'm happy to take those questions. First and foremost, the problem which I want to address, how we are doing that with our Kula tool is, today we'll start from bottom of the funnel, right? Analytics or reporting is a very big pain point with any ATS solutions today, right? Or any other HCM solutions in general. The biggest problem is data is extremely fragmented. They are incomplete because the data moves in different multiple tools. There's no one single source of truth, right? It's also extremely time consuming. It takes a lot of time to put together this particular report. I've been into places where my stakeholder asks me a question and it will probably take me like an hour for me to get back to them with a particular report, right? So that's the second biggest pain point with reporting today. It's not as easy for you to get the data in. You might require a PhD, or you might require another additional resource to cull the data in a way. A lack of visibility, right? At any given point in time, you're losing trust and confidence with your stakeholders by not having like a self-serve motion or a lack of visibility and trust in general. So there is a significant amount of hidden costs surrounding just the reporting layer, right? People end up spending a lot of hours to get the data and a narrative which they want to share. You might also, as the company scales, you end up investing on a bunch of BI engineers and whatnot to augment and automate those workflows. And the impact is also very, very big because you end up only looking at the data when someone is asking rather than having that as an insight for you to do your job better, right? So that's pretty much how we help solve. But one of the problems you're solving is via our conversational analytics. So I'm just going to quickly show you what we have built here. So our reporting is already, out of the box reporting is already pretty robust, deep and, both in terms of depth and breadth. So you have a bunch of 9 default reports. You have pipeline specific reports, which you can basically go through, interview specific reports and so on and so forth, right? You can also create custom reports. You can schedule those reports to go out on an automated basis, which we will talk a little bit more in detail. But I just want to highlight and spend a little bit more time on all these still requires a traditional way of coming here, applying filters, looking at pass-through rate different between stages. And it's all clicky, right? You have to take a screenshot, you have to save this as a PDF, send this, add this to a custom dashboard. So what we have built with the era of AI is we built something called as a conversational analytics. I truly believe that when you have a question in mind, I go to reports when I have a question in mind, I want to get an answer to that particular question. So what you can do is you can accomplish that with our conversational analytics today. As a recruiter or as a hiring team member, you can literally just come here and ask any questions you may have in mind, right? Let's say, for example, hey, how does the offer acceptance, let's say, for example, how does the offer acceptance rate vary by, let's say, recruiters, right? The tool will automatically spit out the data for you. Sorry, I think I'm not in the right environment. I'll just use the demo one. Oops. So you can just come here and ask the same question saying, hey, how does the offer acceptance rate vary by, let's say, recruiters? The tool will automatically spit out the data for you, and you can visualize this data in any format and way, right? And you can add this in a vertical format, table format, and pretty much however you want to consume this information. And you can just add this to your custom dashboard, right? So the beauty is we just don't give you the output of this, but we also help you with, the AI will also help you with asking follow-up questions. Say, hey, you asked about offer acceptance rate by recruiter. would you like to know by hiring managers, right? And it basically says, would you also like to know how many candidates were interviewed over the past 6 months and were not hired across departments, right? So you can literally just slice and dice this information in any format and way, and you can literally just consume this information and add that to your custom dashboard. So the beauty about this is this is extremely self-serve. You can save a lot of hours, which you will be probably doing in just culling through those reports and adding those to your dashboards. So that's pretty much how we leverage AI. You also have the traditional way of doing reporting, but we want you to see the data and insights a lot more faster and quicker, right? And that's pretty much how we have developed this conversational AI piece to augment those workflows. We'll take a pause here. Any questions for me on this? Any first impressions on thoughts so far?
First impressions, I say I love this. This would definitely absolutely save me a ton of time. I did have one question. It might be a bit specific to me, but we have multiple hiring flows for, say, contract workers versus FTE workers, and the departments are separated by that as well. With that concept, I've seen it where it can be challenging to get the right type of information reporting because of that. Have you encountered that before, and is there a way to kind of tackle that challenge?
Yeah, great question, James. So as part of the job creation workflow, the beauty about this is you can literally just define these types as part of the job creation. Now you can report on top of it. So whenever you're creating a job, you will have a job type. This is a specific, whether it is internship, part-time, seasonal, temporary, and whatnot. Based on the job type, you can still query the conversational analytics, and it will automatically spit out the data for you.
Gotcha.
So,
and can you customize those job types?
Sorry?
Can you customize those job types?
Of course, yeah. It's customizable. It's completely customizable. You can literally just come here and create those job types right within our admin setting page.
Awesome. Thank you.
In terms of customization, you can literally do what your existing, any matured ATS would probably do, right? Whether it is customization in terms of job fields, candidate fields, offer fields, and a bunch of other things. You can literally slice and dice that in any format and way.
Chris, feel free to go off mute.
Thanks, Amir. I guess my camera's not showing up. That's okay. Hi, I just have a question. Oh, there I am. Whoa. I had a question. If the analytics piece of your platform, can you use that like just as the analytics? Do you have to like rip out your full ATS to be able to use this? Because the company I'm at right now, we have Greenhouse and Workday, and that's the idea of ripping that out right now. I think they'd freak out at me, but we are looking for a better like analytics solution, and this is super interesting. So are they available piecemeal, or how does that work?
A great question, Chris. Currently, we are just selling that as a full-blown offering. We are not selling that as a specific add-on.
Okay.
Because we fundamentally believe that the why you are having this reporting challenge is because you have to consume information from different tools, and that is not really helping. That's pretty much what we want to solve for, right?
Got it. Okay.
But in the future, we will probably roll out a specific add-on to just sit on top of any other vendors. But currently, it's all just baked in one single platform.
Got it. Thank you.
I think that's the job of an ATS, right? Pretty much, your job of an ATS is to give you more insights and data rather than looking to invest on another tool in a way.
Achu, this is great. This is Scott here. Sorry, I'm off camera. I want to maybe ask a different question, right? So we're talking a lot about analytics and the dynamic nature of them. When I'm thinking about ATSs and assessing, the Ashby's Greenhouse levers, this one, etc., what makes this so unique or different that from a ATS lens, I would go here separate of reporting? Could you talk a little bit about that? And I don't know if that's later in the presentation, but I'm just curious, like at the starting point.
Yeah, no, 100%, Scott. We will touch on those layers shortly. Analytics is just one area where we have demonstrated. We'll also demonstrate a little bit more further in other aspects as well. But fundamentally, Scott, I think the biggest value proposition is like consolidation, as we know, is happening across the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And today, even with consolidation, with investments with AI, right? Everyone is again going back to piecemeal strategy. Like, okay, hey, my ATS is not doing X. I found another AI solution which is helping me and improve my efficiency. So I'm going to buy that as a point solution, right? So those will continue to be there, but the foundation is when you're investing on in your platform where you're paying tens and thousands of dollars, it should basically do all of these workflows. Like that's our value proposition. It's all built in one single platform, rather than just you trying to piecemeal that together in a way.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. I might have questions later, but that's good for now. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Shall I move on to the next aspect of
Yeah, actually, let's show the rest of the magic that you've built here.
Of course. So the second area is on the mid funnel, right? We are going from bottom funnel to top funnel. So on the mid funnel, we understand that interview note taking, it has basically seen value. We have seen a lot of success with a bunch of other vendors in the market. But the problem today is, imagine you have an ATS and you invest on a separate note taking tool. It's given it is not native, you won't be able to analyze and slice the data in any different format and base, right? So the data is still restricted and defined in that particular vendor. You're not able to get that entire 360 of how the data is flowing, right? That's number one. Number two, we have also noticed a lot of people who are using these point solutions that the hiring managers, interviewers don't really submit scorecard. The purpose of note taker is to solve for two reasons. One, increase fill rates of scorecards, and number two, make better objective decision making, right? So what's happening is, given the adoption doesn't really happen well, and thereby the notes are not coming in a very sequential way. And as a byproduct of that, you're also not able to make a lot of objective decision making. So this is a very big challenge which we've been seeing in the market today, right? So what we have done here is, as part of the scheduling workflow with Kula, we already have our own AI note taker built right within the product. So let's say, for example, whenever you are scheduling an interview, let's say I'm moving this candidate from, I'm just scheduling an interview with this particular candidate. You have a skill scheduling capability. It's very similar to a Calendly experience. We will touch a little bit on scheduling shortly. But as you can see here, whenever I'm selecting a virtual conference or even an on-site, you can enable our note taker, which is built right within the platform, right? Now, once a job is scheduled, our bot will automatically join the call, transcribe that entire interview for you, summarizes that entire interview, depending on how you want to look at that summary, right? Whether it is a candidate summary, question and answer, highlights and lowlights of the interview, and pretty much everything in one single platform. So I'm sure you would have used a bunch of note taker solutions. So we provide that. But the beauty really, the power of this really comes in when it comes to debriefing use cases, right? So whenever you're doing debriefing, you want to have more contextual data, right? Saying, hey, if I ask a question around, let's say, is this candidate the 90th percentile in all the candidates who we looked at, right? So you won't be able to pull such data when you're looking at point solutions, when you're integrating and stitching that with point solutions. With Kula, you can ask those questions, right? You can also ask any questions to our AI saying, hey, did the candidate demonstrate, good hustle? Right, so the tool will automatically look at all the interviews this candidate has went through, summarizes the data for you. It's all baked and made in one centralized place rather than you switching between different context and trying to get those information in, right? So you don't need to pay for another tool. Everything is built within the platform. So the purpose of this is, one, we significantly increase the time to fill a scorecard by a bunch of automations, workflow automations on Slack and email and wherever your recruiters are, or sorry, your interviewers are. And the second point here is, you can actually drill down into more specific data points based on the overall nature of your instance, right? So that's a significant advantage. And the third and the most important thing is you can save a lot of cost in terms of deploying multiple tools in a way, right? So that's on the mid funnel. We have deployed AI interviewer, which is AI note taker. We call it as an interview diligence module built right within the platform. Any questions for me on this?
you might be jumping to this next, but you mentioned one of the issues is not having hiring managers or interviewers submitting scorecards. Definitely a challenge my team faces. Obviously, this makes it easier. Is there anything else kind of on that theme?
So the path here is to, currently we want to solve for getting in feedback and sort of make hiring decisions more objective, right? So we believe the quality of hire happens while you are making decisions. Of course, you want to look at certain data points, but by the time you look at the data point 6 months later and you want to course correct it, it's a significant cost to the company, right? Our goal is to increase your quality of hire while you are making the decision. Now, the first part is this. What we are looking to do in the future is we will be integrating that with your HRIS data or your performance management tool. And we'll be able to pull those signals saying, hey, ask these specific questions. Like for this particular job bank, these are all the traits which has worked really well for the kind of employees who's been trending really well, performing really well. Did they check on these boxes, right? So the beauty about this is given everything is in one centralized place and we'll be able to integrate with HRIS data, we can offer more intelligence and insights for your hiring use cases, right? So that's the direction which we're heading. Currently, we are more focused on getting the information in and helping you guys make better hiring decisions. The second part forward is more insights while interviewing so that you can increase your quality of hire.
Very cool. Thank you.
Right.
The hammer on this, because I know there's a lot of fans of theirs out there in the universe, and I think they're a great product, but this is essentially a direct competitor baked in to what is, oh my gosh, BrightHire.
That is right. So BrightHire, MetaView, all these solutions, you don't need to buy another one. You have full capability. You can do interviewer effectiveness. You can look at interview conversion data via reporting. You can train them. You can coach those interviewers, create clips. You can do all of those activities within the platform itself.
Can you click on scorecard to see what that view looks like?
Of course. So this is already a completed scorecard. So whenever I can quickly show you. You can create custom scorecards. Maybe I can just try and see if I can. So as you can see here, these are yet to be filled. You can also leverage our AI to fill the scorecard based on the questions. Right, your interviewers can also do that. And they can also input on top of it. Right, so you can create custom questions. As you can see, yes, Mary aligns well to the company's values and goals. They have a proactive approach. Of course, you can edit it, make this bigger, shorter, add attachments, and a bunch of other things right within the module. All these are custom questions. As part of the interview plan, you can create these custom questions. And the verdict will still be given by the interviewer. The AI does not give the verdict. The verdict will be still given by the interviewer.
Cool. So go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. So after the conversation happens and the transcription was captured, then it'll pull that information to do the AI filling out of the answers, but then you can edit it to your liking.
Of course.
Okay.
Right. So you have the summary. You also have the entire transcript and the video of the interview. You also have these. You can also autofill the scorecard with AI. And after that, it will basically help you with the friction of writing or sharing your insights. And the interviewers can add on top of it or edit on top of it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you require candidates to opt in to being recorded? And if so, what happens to all the AI intelligence when they do not agree to be recorded or yeah?
Yeah, great question, Scott. So we have concerns in different ways and format. So for example, before the interview, as part of the scheduling use case, you will basically send an consent notification that, hey, this call will be recorded. And if you can opt out, there'll be an opt-out link for you to opt out. During the call, while you are joining the call, it will again ask for a consent. After the interview, it will again ask for a consent on, hey, can we save this recording or you want us to delete this recording, right? So in the first two cases, when the candidate says that, hey, I want to opt out, of course, we can't record those conversations and thereby the interviewer has to manually take notes. But we have noticed that, folks are, the opt-out rates are very, very low. People are used to having note takers in the call today in their daily work environment. So, that is not really bothering them. Probably less than 2% is our opt-out rate so far on our product. Post interview, let's say, for example, if the candidate feels that I didn't perform well, I don't want my video to be there and the transcript or recording to be there, we will automatically remove the video and other personal information about the candidate, but just save the transcript of the interview, right? So we call it soft mode, where we just save the transcript, but it will not have any information about the candidate or their video or their audio or anything on those lines.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Brett, I didn't mean to jump in before you.
Yeah, no worries. So 2 quick questions. Is the system as a whole, is it set up to be kind of application driven or candidate driven? A good example would be Lever is more application driven, where you have one person apply. If they apply to multiple roles, it almost creates multiple accounts, whereas Greenhouse is candidate driven. We have one candidate record and they can apply to one or many roles or be attached to one or many roles. But I find that's kind of a clear demarcation in system mythology, so to speak.
So we are more from a candidate-driven perspective. So because a candidate is your data, right? And this data can be part of multiple jobs, multiple openings, multiple prospecting sequences and whatnot, right? So ours is a more candidate-led route rather than job or application-specific route.
Gotcha. And then the secondary question is, since you're talking about scorecards, are scorecards specific to a certain job or requisition, or exist as a template in and of itself? And I'll qualify that. So Greenhouse, it's specific to a specific job, which means if you want to, fix up or add a question to a series of scorecards, you have to edit each one individually. It doesn't, backwards replicate, if you know what I mean. Whereas other systems are set up so you could define a scorecard saying, all right, this is my scorecard for my engineering roles, and that might be applied to 5 different jobs you have. And if all of a sudden you want to change something about it, you can, and it will kind of update across any of those roles that is utilizing that scorecard as an object.
Yeah, great question. So we support both of those use cases, but like deeper customization based on specific competencies, what you want to do. Also, you can, as an admin, you can set certain guardrails saying that, hey, these are mandatory things you want to capture in general. So this is your admin setting, sorry. This is your admin setting. Under scorecards, you can create a scorecard for a specific department, specific office, also your work type, right? So, hey, let's say if I'm creating a specific scorecard, I can basically say Syelo. Under departments, you can choose a specific department or all departments, up to you. You can select a specific office because region-wise, you might have specific questions and data, right? So you can also do that. You can also choose by a work type. For internship, you might have a specific question. For part-time, you might have a specific questions, and so on and so forth. It's completely customizable, and anyone can basically use this and pick this as a template to get to go, right? Or you can also set this as a default, saying that all jobs needed in this department with these XYZ criteria needs to have the scorecard mandatory, right? So,
and then any job that has that scorecard, if you edit the scorecard, will edit across all of those jobs. Okay, cool.
That is right. So that's the default. But we also offer deeper customization because, hey, there are different levels and you want to test on different level competencies. What happens is, as part of the interview plan creation, you can create custom scorecards for each round of interview. It's not just for a stage. For each round, you can create custom scorecards, right? Let's say, for example, I'm creating this custom scorecard. You have different ways of creating these custom scorecards. You can make this an open question, single select, multiple select, yes or no, scoring, and bunch of other things. And you can just create this as a full-blown custom scorecards for each competency which you want to map.
So how do you keep reporting or analytics consistent? Because normally you see that softwares that are the most configurable tend to be a little bit of a black box when it comes to analytics, because people have different naming conventions and you start losing control. And the ones that are a little bit more locked down in terms of things that are hard baked into the system tend to be a little bit more consistent from an analytics and reporting basis. So how do you balance both of those?
Yeah, great question, Brett. I've personally experienced this problem. So that's pretty much what we have built here. As you can see, for every stages you have a logged stage, right? So what this means is, imagine if I am a CXO or a head of talent, right? I would want to look at what is my pass-through rate looking from an app review to a team screen to on-site to an offer, irrespective of departments, right? So you can define these log stages for your organization. And for specific job, what you can do then is you can also, if you're reporting on a specific job, you can look at each stage pass-through rates, right? If you're looking from an org level, you can only look at logged, stages. So you have visibility.
So kind of a milestone stage thing. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much on the scorecarding. I know that one person asked a question on does it only work in video interview? Currently, yes, Olivia. We are yet to support phone. So we are working in progress. Hopefully, we get to launch that in Q3 this year. Yes, we support open APIs. So you can always customize this with any other automation use cases you may have. So I'm happy to, if we have a robust documentation in place where we can sort of slice and dice this information in any formal way. I'm just going to spend some time on the scheduling use case. So as you can see here, we have robust scheduling capabilities as well. You can sort of define interviewer load balancing, saying number of interviews each interviewer can take by specific department and so that you can load balance your interviewers. You can create a bunch of interview pools to automate your interview mechanisms. You can create interview plans. Again, these are all admin settings or recruiter settings. You can assign interview plans for a department, office, or work type. You can define meeting rooms and so on and so forth, right? So these are all the capabilities you will probably find in a specific point solution, like scheduling point solutions. Now, scheduling on the product is super easy. So you can sort of move this candidate through the funnel. We have a nice Kanban view. It's easy for you to consume information. And we also have a nice list view where you can also do bulk action, saying bulk schedule particular interview candidates for that specific interviews, right? So we operate more so, we integrate with your Google Workspace or your Microsoft Outlook account. You can automatically come here and schedule in two different ways. You can schedule manually, or you can use our self-schedule link. Given there is an interview plan already defined, here, this is the interviewer and this is the duration, this is the panel interview. What you can do here is you can leverage our AI to automatically find slots. Let's say, for example, next week. So these are all the slots which our AI has identified based on both the interviewer's availability. And now you can just send this link to the candidate and they can automatically pick a slot and schedule that interview for themselves. Right? So that's pretty much how we automate your entire scheduling workflows, where you have your own scheduling portal. This is for recruiter persona, where you have your own scheduling portal. And the second persona is for interviewers. You can share that link to the candidate and you can automate the touch points there. Any questions or thoughts on the scheduling workflow?
What about for multi-person panel interviews?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, if I'm adding another person. So there are two types of interview, whether it is a one-to-one interview or a panel interview. So you can define this, and as you can see, automatically it only picks slots where both of us are available. Right? The AI only picks slots where both of us are available. So Suman is green, I am red, and these are all the slots which is available for next week in our working hours.
And if you do one-on-one, it will break those two apart.
So you want to view by each. You want to have different view for different interviewers, is it?
Right. So if I wanted to schedule an interview with a candidate and 4 other people from the team, not together, but separately.
Yeah, you can do that, of course. We support those use cases as well.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So you don't need another point solution to automate your scheduling workflows. Everything is pretty much built right within the platform. You can automate and augment a lot of workflows right within the module. I see a bunch of questions about CRM capabilities, stack ranking of candidates. Great. So we are heading to the top of the funnel So we discussed about bottom of the funnel. We spent some time on mid funnel on scheduling and interview note taking use cases. On top of the funnel, technically two problems, inbound and outbound. In inbound today, we have more supply in the market than demand. We post a job, hundreds of applications coming in. The second biggest problem is today, each recruiters are managing multiple requisitions, and it's impossible for them to cull through those profiles. So I'll probably talk about the inbound part first, how we deploy AI for the AI scoring. So as part of the job creation, it's super easy. Let's say, for example, I'm creating a job called a Syelo 2. Now you have this basic information section. This is completely customizable, which I'm not going to spend time on. So the first part you see here is your AI scoring capability, right? Which is built right within the platform. You would have seen a lot of scoring systems in your experience. Most of the scoring systems today are primarily, a keyword to a resume parser, right? They are not actually increasing or decreasing the time spent by the recruiter, because today all candidates are leveraging AI to create their own resumes for that specific job. So it is not really automating their workflows. So what we have done here is we sort of, our AI scoring mimics a recruiter behavior, right? So as a recruiter on the job, I understand what the success will look like for this particular candidate. And I basically look for certain signals on the resume, right? The first step as a recruiter, what you can do here is you can sort of define those signals. Let's say, for example, hey, I can basically train my AI saying, first look for average time in company, followed by skills, followed by experience, and I don't really care about education. You can also add other custom signals saying specific company, specific industry, specific employee size, and so on and so forth. So what you're trying to do here is you're training your AI to mimic how you would look a particular resume, right? And you are setting weightages for these scoring mechanisms. That's the first step. And that's pretty much what really helps our customers to, get better scoring output, as well as see more success in app review to an on-site screen conversion, right? So that's how we are unique, where we mimic a recruiter behavior. We don't really just do a keyword to a resume parser. Once you set these signals, then you can basically come here and define your ideal candidate profile. Let's say, for example, I'm looking for someone with, distributed systems. I can basically say Series A company, Like you can literally just define whatever you wanna see from a candidate, and so on and so forth. So once you take this job live, this is how the experience will look like for you. Once you set these parameters, once a job is live, sorry. So this is how it will look like once your job is live. So all your candidates will basically come under the app review stage, right? So as part of the parameters which you have set here, the tool will automatically score the candidates for you. Now, all you need to do as a recruiter is just come here, sort by top AI score. The tool will sort the candidates and put a score right next to the candidate. Now, we just don't tell you the score upon clicking on it. We also give you the rationale behind the score, the why behind the score, so that you can increase the feedback loop to the AI. There are two types of feedback loop to our AI. You can automatically say, hey, these are negative fillers, remove this and make this better. That's first POV feedback loop. The second POV is based on the pass-through rate between stages. The tool will automatically identify the patterns and increase and change the AI scoring formatting so that you see more success based on how the candidates are passing through the funnel, right? So that's the AI scoring bit, where we mimic a recruiter behavior. We help you surface the rationale behind the score, and there is two ways of feedback. One, you can give feedback to the AI. The second feedback is AI will automatically learn based on the pass-through rate between different stages. Now, the biggest problem even with this is you have to manually click each profile and go through. It's very, very clicky, right? We end up spending a lot of time clicking on tools. So what we have built is we built something called as a quick review mechanism, where on the left-hand side, you can see the resume. On the right-hand side, you can see the AI score. You can just use keyboard shortcuts like hotkeys like Y to automatically move them to the next phase. Or you can even disposition this candidate by clicking on N and select a reason, remember this combination. You can also schedule when you want this to go out. Let's say send this email after 2 days or whatever, right? You can literally just schedule this out and send this rejection emails as well. So we significantly help you to save a lot of time in surfacing the best fit candidates, as well as quickly cull them through as well. So you get to focus on more on the candidates, who would probably be a better fit for this particular job. Another thing which I want to talk about is we are also our AI is also bias certified. We are compliant with New York Law of 144 as well as the European Law of AI, where the beauty is we do a monthly audit on our bias certification on our AI. You can see the reports. This is a live dashboard. Happy to send this over an email separately, but you can look at the sample sizes, what we do on a monthly basis. You can look at primary biases like sex, race, intersectional. The second level of bias is going to be more intra-company bias, like, hey, are we only attracting certain candidates from certain companies, right? So those are all the things that you're looking to build in the next coming quarters. But primarily, it's mostly from a bias and fairness standpoint. We're also complying with the basic regulations. Sorry.
With the AI scoring, obviously, as you mentioned, as you continue interviewing, it trains the AI for more. Is that specific to companies? So like the data that I'm getting my scorecards, that's all utilized to train the AI for my company, for example?
That's a great question, James. Yes. So as you can see here, our instance is based on the company. So we have specific instances and our AI only trains for that specific company, right? Because we don't train our models based on our customers' data. Because what works for X might not work for Y, right? So it doesn't make sense for us to train. So our AI trains primarily on the specific instance, and we don't store those information or train our existing models with that.
And so you're saying one of your next steps will be able to try to identify if biases are coming up in the company specifics AI as it's being trained?
That is correct, yes.
Awesome.
Currently we do race and sex and primary top line activities, but we want to do a little bit more deeper understanding of, okay, are you only attracting certain companies, or is there a bias in why only certain company candidates are moving through the funnel, right? So that's the second step which we are pushing it through.
Question on the AI: how deep does the AI know in terms of bringing in market related or external related knowledge, right? Because one of the things that I also would be great when AI starts doing is understanding contextual things like, hey, I'm looking for someone that comes to a smaller company. Well, AI knows, 4 of the companies they work for, and they're very large or very small, or, you're looking for someone that comes with a certain LAMP stack background, right? But the AI knows, hey, look, this person worked at these 3 companies, and, we pulled in information from StackShare to show that they actually use that same tech stack. So now we could infer that they more than likely have had exposure in that area. How deep does the LM that you're building, does it go in that direction?
Yeah, exactly the same level of depth you mentioned, Brett. So we sort of look at this in 2 ways of indexing. The first is the primary attributes, which is pretty much present in the resume and a bunch of other details. The second is the second part is the secondary and tertiary attributes. Let's say, for example, I'm saying I'm looking for someone who worked in a Series A company, right? So let's say, for example, someone who worked at Stripe in maybe 2015 would also work at a Series A company, right? That means that they're also qualified. So we look at we work with a bunch of other data vendors to provide this information for us. We work with specific data vendors for company enrichment. We work with specific data vendors for tech stack enrichment, and so on and so forth, and train our models based on those behaviors.
Okay, that's cool. I really like the fact that you provide a rationale that shows you how the AI got there, because I think that solves for a secondary challenge, which is that a lot of recruiters aren't actually particularly knowledgeable in the technology that they're recruiting for. And so they're actually going to be learning at the same time of saying, well, we identified that they had this stack, and we know that that stack is, that is connected with this stack or is very similar, so you're actually improving the relative knowledge of the recruiters, but, as a side benefit, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. I know that we have another 5 more minutes, but I just want to, someone asked this question about CRM capabilities. So I just want to quickly, Amir, is that okay? If I can just quickly run through it.
Yeah, go for it, Achu. I think, typically we vote on whether or not to invest, but as you and I have discussed, you're a little too late stage for us already. Congratulations on all the success. I think it'd be better for everyone just to see, what you built here from a product perspective.
Sure, no, makes sense. So So we have a robust CRM capability built right within the platform as well. So we call it Kula Flows. This is the first product which we launched and took that to market separately before building the ATS. So we are pretty solid here as well. So creating a flow is super easy. I can basically come here and create a particular sequence saying, hey, Syelo has a sequence. One of the biggest differentiator is we are the only vendor today which can do true multi-channel automation. That is via email, LinkedIn email, and connection request. A lot of other vendors have LinkedIn email and connection request, but those are manual. You have to manually create that as a task and do it manually. But with Kula, we are direct partners with LinkedIn, and we are able to automate these touch points via the LinkedIn APIs. So you don't need to provide us with any login credentials. We don't do any black boxing or any of those. We have direct partnership with LinkedIn, and thereby we are able to, automate these workflows. So it's super easy for you to create this sequence. You can basically just come here and say, hey, this is my first message. I can select the schedule when I want this to go out. You can basically make this automatic or manual. You can select a sender. You can send on behalf of your hiring manager. You can also CC yourself whenever you are sending on behalf of someone, so you can pick it up from where you left. We also deployed AI to create these messages, or you can just use our variables to personalize at scale. On the right hand side, you can see the preview of the email. It's a rich text editor. You can add attachments. You can track open rates, click rates, and a bunch of other things. You can set a logic saying if my candidate did not reply to my email, automatically send an email after 2 days. Again, you can create these sequences. We also support connection requests along with short notes, right? You can also add these connection requests along the short notes in general. So we provide data enrichment. We work with multiple data vendors to help you enrich the email ID of the candidate. So our hit rate in North America market is anywhere between 86 to 87% in terms of identifying verified personal email addresses. So you don't need to use any of the data vendors like Contact Out or Lucia or Rocket Reach or anything to identify the email addresses of the candidate. Now, talking a little bit more about how easy it is to add a candidate to a flow. Let's say, for example, I'm going to a candidate and saying, hey, Amir, let's say if I'm looking at Amir's profile, our extension will automatically pop up. The traditional way of using a CRM is you have to come here, click on manually, save to PDF, upload. It's like a lot of work. So you don't need to do anything. As you can see here within our ATS, you can basically see if this candidate is a duplicate between jobs, flows, and projects. You can just come here, click on add to flow, and choose the flow which we just created. That's it. It takes 2 clicks to add a candidate to a flow. Automatically, the candidate will come here and land on the platform. You can see the entire platform, entire candidate profile here. I can also enrich the email address of the candidate and so on and so forth, right? So, and once you launch, the messages will automatically start going out to candidates. So that's the power of our CRM. You can rediscover candidates, you can create projects, you can create reviews, you can share that with your hiring managers and a bunch of other things.
Achu, one thing I want to touch on really quickly, right, before we lose time here, cost, because that's going to be the big question in the room, right? Okay, you've built a product that looks better than Atchbead, Lever, Greenhouse, etc. How much is this going to cost me? So what can you speak to?
Yeah, so our pricing is primarily based on employee size in general. So our current charges, if you're a sub 100 member team, like 1 to 50, we currently charge around $399 per month for the entire product. The beauty about our solution is we don't offer, hey, you don't have different tiers. Like you get enterprise tier, you have like a mid tier, you get certain features. We don't really see value creation there. It's just one price and you get the entire offering of the product, right? And we would like to keep continually doing that because that's where the value creation really happens. You will not have any limits. You don't have to purchase any specific add-ons because as a recruiting team members, it's not, we need to justify for every penny we spend, and it's, finance doesn't really, doesn't like any, sort of any uncertainty in terms of pricing of these solutions, right? So it's very well designed to tailor-made to make those decisions a lot more easier. If you're a 100-member team, the initial investment would probably be less than around $9,000 for the entire year, which is probably, you can save a lot of money with all these point solutions. and it can actually generate more value for the investment you're making on the platform, right? Above 100, it's custom pricing based on number of employee size, which currently charge per user, per seat model.
Awesome. Well, folks, we're at time. Achu, very impressive. I know we have our own private Slack where the conversation's a buzz right now. So good job. I think folks are pretty impressed by what you've built here. For those that want to contact you, Achu, do you want to drop your email address in the chat box?
Yeah, of course. I can send this over. So that's me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Would love to stay in touch, and I know that we're a bit over time, but I'll be curious to spend some time with you guys to learn a bit more about how you're thinking about deploying AI in your work. Any first impressions and thoughts on the product? I just appreciate candid feedback from a recruiter to another recruiter. So if you can do that offline, you can reach out to me and give me that feedback, and that'll be really, really helpful.
Good stuff today, Achu. Thank you all for joining. Very looking forward to seeing the future of Kula as we progress in the space and continue to grow. Well done. No surprising that a recruiter built a great recruiting product. So well done, Achu. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.